fast.
Okay. Let's make it perfect.
Yeah. Okay, I'd like to call to order the council meeting Monday, October 8th, 7:03 p.m. Opening prayer, Reverend Grederson. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Good to be with you. Passage from James chapter 4, preparing for a sermon on Sunday on this. What causes quarrels and what causes fights among you? Is it not this, that your passions are at war within you? You desire and do not have, so you murder. You covet and cannot obtain, so you fight and quarrel. You do not have because you do not ask. You ask and do not receive because you ask wrongly to spend it on your passions. Therefore, the scripture says, God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble. Whether you believe in God or not, I think we all kind of have this sense that hopefully the universe gets at those people that are out for themselves, right? The bigger they are, the harder they fall kind of idea. What goes around comes around. This is written to Christians in churches, so I'm in church and I know that everybody's got their own agenda, you know, as holy and pious as we like to think we all are. We're looking out for what's best for us. I have been opposed by God for my own pride. I hope that in leadership in the government that and as the citizens and government interact, that we can all kind of come together in a way without pride, without our own passions and desires, and seek what's best for everybody. Let's pray. Gracious God, thank you so much. You sent your son Jesus, and Jesus set himself aside. He was a man who was willing to die for others. Be with us tonight. Be with the city council. Be with the citizens here and the citizens of this great city. Help us all to lay aside our own passions and desires and seek the good of all the people of this city and beyond, to the people that are affected by the good that we hope happens in this city. Send your Spirit to provide wisdom and guidance to each and everyone here tonight, that those decisions that are made for the good of all. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Soretta.
Here.
Fonte.
Here.
Keesling.
Here.
Peters.
Here.
Revolt.
Here.
And Weirin.
Here.
6 present, Mr. President.
Thank you. Motion to excuse Member Foltz.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes carried by unanimous voice vote 6 to excuse Councilman Foltz.
All right, thank you for your consideration. A motion and a second to approve as presented. Council meeting minutes, September 24th, 2018. Special Committee of the Whole meeting minutes, September 24th, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Abstain.
The ayes carried by a vote of 5 yes and 1 abstain to approve the above minutes.
All right, thank you. At this time, if you wish to address council, please step forward, state your name and address for the record.
Chuck Osborne, 307 Fairview Street, Southeast, North Canton, Ohio. My remarks are directed to my elected representatives, not to my unelected and self-proclaimed spokesperson for the city or North Canton City Council. And by the way, all the rebuttals we've had every time I've spoken up here from Mr. Fox, they've been in violation of your council rules. I thought there was no back and forth, but that's what turns out every time he speaks out. All right, I have a number of issues here regarding your ordinance 60, 2018, to codify some additional ordinances. As I spoke to you here 2 weeks ago, those two ordinances, the Water Board and the Housing Code, they're already published as codified laws. They've been codified and published by Drain for well over a month. What kind of processes are we following up here? If you want to do anything, you should be amending the previous ordinance that codified some other ordinances. That was under 50, 2018. Not creating an identically titled ordinance. What kind of confusion are you creating there? You got two of them with identical titles, codifying legislation? What a chaotic mess. Your ordinance 59 that you're going to do tonight says you're amending ordinance 509.08. You're actually amending a codified ordinance, a section of the codified ordinances. The proper language should be in an ordinance amending Chapter 509, Disorderly Conduct and Peaceful Disturbance of the Codified Ordinance of the City of North Canton, to repeal Section 509.08, begging and declaring to be emergency. So you're not even using really the correct language. I received, as a result of a records request, communications between our law director, or council clerk, and WH Drain. Why are we attempting to codify or sending to them resolutions simply making recommendations to the Planning Council? That's not something that needs to be codified. For Mr. Diorio, I spoke to you about this certainly after you got the new website up and running. The legislation needs to be in numerical order. 1, 2, 3. It doesn't run that way. If you had done it that way, and if you will correct it, you will immediately realize two errors by the council clerk. Ordinance 55, 2017, which was defeated in council, that was one of the charter amendments that did not go to the ballot, is not listed on that list. Once you assign an ordinance number, you have to account for them. So if you had this in numerical order, you would see it. It's not listed. Ordinance 103, 2017 is not even on there for last year. The communications back and forth between Drain and our council clerk point out grave misunderstandings and errors. She doesn't understand the process. And by the way, I guess I should remind you, last year she codified an ordinance that was permanently tabled by this council body. What else are we not seeing? What errors are we not finding? We need better administrative support in the council office than this. And I have others, but I'll let it go. I think you get the hint here.
Thank you, Mr. Osborne. I appreciate it.
I hope you do.
All right. Anyone else wishing to address council, please step forward. State your name and address for the record, please. Seeing none, we will move on to new business. Motion and a second to read by title only, first reading, ordinance number 59-18. First of all,
Mr. President,
we want to make an amendment
if I
first.
might, I would, pursuant to Robert's Rules of Order, I would propose a motion to substitute the version of 59, 2018 that was in everyone's packet and published for the version of ordinance 59, 2018 that is at your place. That is the version that reads an ordinance amending Chapter 509 of the codified ordinances of the City of North Canton, specifically repealing Section 50908, begging, etc. So if we might, I'll again move to substitute the document in the packet for the document at your place for our consideration this evening.
Motion for a second.
Would you happen to have copies for the administration?
Yes.
Because we don't have any at our.
I'm
at our
sorry?
hands.
Don't let me get to.
I will second that substitution.
Want to have Tim weigh in on that? What's Tim say?
Just that real quick.
The reason is that, as we heard from Mr. Osborne, the ordinance as it was drafted is not clear. It says ordinance 509.08. That is, it's not ordinance 50908. I don't know what the ordinance was that was drafted. 50908 is the section of the codified ordinance that we want. And so rather than go through and completely amend the original at our place published in the packet, Tim redrafted it this morning to ensure that the appropriate language, the appropriate code section was correct.
Okay, so
So-
go ahead.
I'm sorry, so this copy here, what specifically is different from,
If you look, it's the title and the action sought is incorrect in the
so if
document
you can look,
packet.
so the first line where it says an ordinance repealing North Canton Ordinance 509.08, begging, declaring the same to be an emergency.
That is correct. Mayor, if I might, 509 isn't an ordinance.
Right,
It's
So
a
that's-
section of the codified ordinance.
right, so I'm okay with it. I just wanted to make sure which
Yes.
ones were changed. So that first sentence, and then what's the other one?
The next section where.
The-
Just section 1 where it's, anything else that says 50908.
Yes.
Okay, that's cool. That's all, I was
It's
just,
just, it's housekeeping.
yeah, okay.
How's our law director feel about that?
You wrote it.
Sure, that's fine. They each get you to the same place. It's fine.
Okay, so
So
we
you have
have,
a motion and you have a second for a substitution.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes carried by unanimous voice vote of 6 to use the substitution.
okay. Now, may I have a motion and a second to read by title only, the first reading, ordinance number 59-18.
So moved.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes carried by a voice vote of 6. An ordinance amending Chapter 509 of the codified ordinances of the City of North Canton, specifically repealing Section 509.08, baking, and declaring the same to be an emergency.
Thank you, Chairman Ruffo.
I think we've discussed this.
Yes, we have.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
First reading.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes carried by unanimous voice vote of 6.
Okay, motion and a second to suspend the rules of council for 3 readings.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes carried by unanimous voice vote of 6.
Finally, motion and a second to adopt under suspension of the rules.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes carried by unanimous voice vote of 6.
All right. Motion and a second to read by title only, first reading, ordinance number 60-18.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes carried by unanimous voice vote of 6. An ordinance to approve and adopt current replacement pages to to the codified ordinances and declaring the same to be an emergency.
Thank you. Chairman Revolt.
Self-explanatory.
Agreed.
And these were two items that were missed in the first one that Chuck had referenced, first ordinance. So this again is a cleanup.
Is there a motion and a second to adopt the first reading?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes carry by a unanimous voice vote of 6.
All right, motion and a second to suspend the rules of council for 3 readings.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes carry by a unanimous voice vote of 6.
Motion and a second to adopt under suspension of the rules.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes carry by a unanimous voice vote of 6.
Okay, motion and a second to read by title only, first reading, ordinance number 61-18.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes carry by a unanimous voice vote of 6. An ordinance authorizing the Director of Administration of the City of North Canton to advertise and receive bids according to specifications now on file in the Director's office, and authorizing the Mayor of the City of North Canton, upon Board of Control approval, to enter into a contract for the Elmwood Avenue Southwest, Orchard Hill Drive Southwest, North to Halem Street Southwest Water Line Replacement Project at a total cost not to exceed $300,000, and declaring the same to be an emergency.
Thank you, Chairman Fontaine.
We talked about this already, and this is, we're trying to get the project done late fall. So it's on an emergency. It's what it is. I move that we pass it on first reading.
Second.
I have a quick question. I assume it's going to be repaved as a portion of it is
Yeah,
horrendous?
we're looking at winter work to get the water line in, late fall, early winter. And then we're putting a May 30th completion date on it, so that we can then go in and repave the entire street, not just the water line trench.
Okay.
So no curb and gutters or storm sewer system like some of the other streets in the neighborhood, but we will repave them.
Thank you.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes carry by a unanimous voice vote of 6.
All right, motion and a second to suspend the rules of council for 3 readings.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes carry by a unanimous voice vote of 6.
And a motion and a second to adopt under suspension of the rules.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes carry by a unanimous voice vote of 6.
All right. We have a motion and a second to read by title only, first reading, ordinance number 62-18.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes carry by a unanimous voice vote of 6. An ordinance amending ordinance number 107-10, the City of North Canton's credit card policy and procedures, and declaring the same to be an emergency.
Thank you, Chairman Waring.
We talked about this at the last meeting. Our Director of Finance and Director Ball gave a good explanation of this. If there are no other concerns, I move to adopt.
I have a question. Actually, this is to Laura. Do we receive email alerts when the cards are used?
We do not.
Is there any merit to that?
I have online access to all of the cards, so I can log in at any time and see what the various department heads have charged and what the balance is. I can also call in on the phone and do that. So I think I'd be getting a lot of emails if I got an email every time a department head made a purchase.
Okay,
I agree.
okay. And I apologize, I wasn't here, but item 4, as we look at the procedure, Finance Director shall advise council on a quarterly basis. Is that something that's new, or, and
It's actually part of a
personnel ordinance?
new requirement from the General Assembly.
Assembly,
It's
okay.
a revised code. The state auditor had been pushing this for a couple years after discovering some credit card abuses throughout the state. And Laura and I had gone through the program that we already had and then incorporated the specific requirements from this new state statute so that we're in full compliance, and then we can have the authority to tweak it a little bit as a home rule charter municipality to fit our needs.
And that quarterly report will be in writing?
It will be. My plan is, just so that it doesn't get missed, is just to include it with your monthly financial packet that I send you every month. That'll just be a new page I'll insert.
Okay, thank you.
Great, there is a motion. Is there a second?
Yes, second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes carried by unanimous voice vote of 6.
All right, motion and a second to suspend the rules of council for 3 readings.
Second?
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes carried by unanimous voice vote of 6.
Thank you, and a motion and a second to adopt under suspension of the rules.
So, second?
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes carried by unanimous voice vote of 6.
All right, reports, Member Fonte.
Last time we spoke a little bit about the flags, and I wanted the council members to do a drive-by, give it some thought, because the Lions Club would be more than happy to buy us flags, to add more flags to our portfolio of flags. Not sure how administration feels about that, but I think it would be great if we had, I don't know, 50 or so more flags strewn about the Main Street corridor. I think it would look pretty nice. Now, right now, they have the high school seniors up, but when we do put the flags out, I don't know how much labor that is, so I needed some time to think about that, and then I'd like to discuss it at the next meeting, that we can chat and see if we can get a cost and what your thoughts are on it, and then see if we can make it happen and maybe present it to the Lions Club. They'd like to help us out, but we need to have everybody on board with it. So I'm going to bring it up one more time to talk about.
When you get costs, how much?
Yeah, I'll look into the cost, but I just need you to look up and down the roads and see if that seems feasible. I think it would make a lot of veterans very happy.
How much of the road are you talking about, or is that a discussion point?
No, this was Lions Club.
No, how much of the road? How long, how far?
Well, we have light poles that go up and down. As long as we have flag poles, we can do it every other or whatever. We can talk to administration and see. I don't know what the procedure is. The street department does it, how much work, how much extra labor it is. Pat, do you have anything on that? Do you know? Or is that something we can research?
Would you like me to wait till it's my turn, or do you want me to go ahead and speak to it now?
Okay, I'll tell you what. I'll dig into it next week, and then I'll report back to everybody. Go ahead.
If this goes forward, I would encourage that the budget include a substantial number of replacement flags. We have done this in the past, and the weather produces a high level of failures. They get torn off, they get pulled down.
Yeah, I understand.
And so we want to make sure that if we're going to do it, we've got enough to replace what we lose.
Well, like part of it is that we have, a nice quality flag, right? And they're taken care of, but if it looks tattered.
You pull off the poles, that's the problem. Believe it or not, the weather will just literally, windy day, just extract them.
Have we had that as a problem? I don't know. I drive up and down the street 10 times a day.
We should have a
Well,
discussion then.
it's a function of how long you want to leave them up.
That's correct.
All right, so, if it's...
Do we have a policy on when we do that? I mean, you put it out 3-4 times a year?
If you want them up for 3 or 4 months straight, you're going to run into problems with wear and tear. If it's
No.
a couple of events where we're putting them up for a few days, that's one thing. The cost consideration is kind of twofold. One is the flags that we have out there now are on poles that fit into brackets. I don't know that every street light has that bracket, because we made a determination years ago that the flag corridor would be kind of between, a set group of streets. And if you go beyond that, I don't think that you're going to find the brackets. And then we need to make sure that we have the right type of brackets, that it aesthetically doesn't, stick out like a sore thumb on the pole, which in the past we've had these silver brackets on a black pole.
No,
Just
that wouldn't
doesn't
be
kinda
good.
work.
You want black on black.
All right, so you got those brackets. Now, if you're looking at a pole, if you're looking at a flag that would hang much like the sports banners do, that style, we have those crossbars you know, a much greater distance. So it depends on what kind of flag that you're looking to
Well,
put
we
up.
have a lot of regular traditional flags on a pole. I didn't realize, I've never seen them blow off. I see once in a while it wrapped around the pole. That's why I need some input. You guys have been around longer than me. It would be nice, we have someone that would help us cover the cost of it if we, you know, and I've had lots of conversation about it with other people.
And then just finally, the other cost is, you know, is the cost of time to do everything. And I just,
understand.
you know, this was a conversation that I tried to get the previous superintendent of the service department to wrap his head around, is that, you know, for the crew that does everything, or all the employees that do the general labor, there are only so many hours. You have a bucket of hours.
Right.
And when we start draining the bucket on other things, that does have a repercussion down the road. So I'm not saying that it's impossible or it's not doable, but I think we need to make sure that we keep it in context of the other things that you're asking the departments to do.
Everything.
And, you know, one other event.
No, I
but
understand.
3, 4, 5
So-
events where we're taking people away, that's going to be
This isn't just
difficult.
me, I'm just saying, I'm throwing out the idea, but it's up to the majority. If the majority thinks it's a good idea and logistically it makes sense and financially, then we should consider something like that. I'll look and take close attention to the brackets that we have, and I'll count them up and I'll guesstimate what I think, and then I'll check and see what the hard cost is. As far as the flags, like the banners, I mean, I never thought of that, but that might be a neat way to do it as well. I don't think it might be less expensive. I know the citizens and veterans will be upset if they're tattered and they don't get addressed properly. So I get what you're saying. But enough on the subject. I just want you to think about it, drive around, and let's have one more conversation, either put it to bed or make it happen. All right, thank you.
My comment is, remember, there's seniors for every sport, so those are not going away. The next seniors for the next winter sports.
They
are
don't
coming
have to
back.
go away. I think it would make a better impact if you just shoot these
that's all.
off in very short, you know, spans during, you know, those different times.
That's all I'm talking about.
If you leave it up, then everybody gets used to it, and it's
Right.
not an impact anymore.
No. Just like how
put
they.
it up at some really, you know, tight
It's a lot
times.
of work.
And as far as the coffee, we want this to be a special place, a special thing, you gotta pay a special price. And are we in for that, or we aren't in for that?
Hey, and who knows, maybe,
I think you just prioritize too, is that what we want to do, is that our impact?
that's why we're having a conversation. Besides, we could even
Not
have
special enough?
Boy Scouts do it. We could have the Boy Scouts.
Everybody, even more.
Special work?
Special work.
Boy Scouts always need service projects too, so I'm just
There
saying.
we go, if we get someone that will,
But liability, so I'm just saying, I don't know.
Are you kidding?
All right, I'm just throwing it out
are
there,
you done,
guys.
John?
I'm excited
Okay.
about life.
Thanks, Don. Remember, we're passionate.
If anyone's been by the Eastwoods Park, it looks great, and Mark, a lot of that is when you started all the different signs and the brick, and to see that kind of come together with all those signage really makes a big impact. So that sign is up, the flagpole is up, they're working on a tree, the courts, the lights are on until, I think the ordinance says 8 o'clock now, we worked with that. So they have like spring or summer times and then winter times. But the courts are beautiful, and so if people want to go down there and play, it looks fabulous. And then I've had a number of people call me about the pickleball. So maybe that could be your report, but people are definitely calling and interested and very excited. And it was like another connection. And you would talk to people, and then someone else called, and they're like, "We can bring people, and we'll do this and that, and we'll eat at your restaurants and all that." So again, thanks to Pat for helping me with that, and Brian Hill. And I did have a question, and maybe we're going to talk about that. Do you remember last year, I thought we had said that we were going to try to have Halloween trick-or-treating on Saturdays and keep it on Saturdays?
We spoke about it, and I spoke to Pat this year, and they just agreed that
That's not going to happen.
it complicates for the county, it's just too
Yeah,
complicated.
we looked at the schedule of that, and, you know, all of the immediate communities that surround us would be at a different time than where we were. And just as you get phone calls that people wanted it at night, administration gets inundated with phone calls of people that are coming into our community that are not from this community to take advantage of that extra candy grab. So we just thought it would be more seamless if we were all the same, and historically that's what North Canton had been.
Okay. So we're going to go with the Sunday then, and I think it's been advertised. I
Yes,
just got calls because I think they thought that it was staying.
It's on the website.
Facebook website, it's been out there for some time.
Lake and Green and Plain, everybody's the same.
Everyone, the whole county. Commissioners said that, correct?
Yeah, Canton City, I mean, that was the complaint, is that we're getting a lot of buses of people coming in, just dropping them off and canvassing neighborhoods, getting on, going to the next one, and on and on and on.
Okay. Okay. That was it.
Okay, Member Keesley?
No report, other than I think it did get confusing, because like Monticello's playing township schools, we're North Canton City, people were unfortunately very confused as to what they were. So I agree, it needed to go back, so, thank you.
Thank you.
Approval. Member Serrata?
No report.
All right. Director of Law?
Yes, sir. If you haven't been in City Hall recently, you wouldn't have noticed there's a move from the council clerk's office and the law director's office that took place recently. Instead of being behind us, it's now across the hall, bringing us closer to the administration office. And along with that was a move from the building department and the permits office to bring the permits up here in the building department where council and the law director's office were. There was a vast amount of furniture, equipment, telephones, computers, lines, and all of those things that would be involved with that type of move. But from my looking at, in my opinion, I think it was a very seamless move for us. It happened very quickly. The service department, Steve Shank and his crew did a wonderful job. It seemed once they asked, are you ready to go right now? It was a couple hours to move everything over into the offices that have been redesigned, painted, new furniture, and help assemble everything so that we can simply sit down at our desk, our phone is ready to go, our computer's ready to go. So I know there was a lot of pre-planning from our administrator and the deputy, Ms. Farina. So I want to thank them for that, and hopefully the residents will have a more of a one-stop process here. By coming into City Hall, you have the utilities right here for sanitation and water, as well as the permits department, the clerk of council, law director, and administration. And for myself, I think it's going to take a bunch of steps off my Fitbit if I wore one of those, because often I'm just back and forth between the two offices, and now Mr. Diorio's office is nearly in sight, so it'll be a much more efficient operation. So I want to thank them for that assistance.
All right. Thank you. Director of Finance.
Tim, you can always walk over and visit finance, get your steps. I just want to, no report, but except to offer a thank you to administration and all the department heads that got their budget requests in timely to me on October 1st, as I had asked them to do, and I'm combing through all those now, and the rest of finance is helping me, and I can tell that they, as usual, took a lot of time and effort to really drill down on their requests and get me some good numbers, so we'll be bringing that to you at the end of the month.
We're very excited for that meeting. Yes. Thank you. Director of Administration.
Thank you. Just two items. First, just to remind everyone that, of course, tonight was open house at the fire department, but since we couldn't be there tonight, there is another open house on Wednesday, October 10th this week from 6 to 8 p.m., so I'd encourage all of you to go over there and show your support for the fire department. The only other announcement that I have is, one that I haven't talked about for quite some time, and just because we haven't talked about it doesn't mean we weren't working on it, and that is the park expansion program that we had laid out to council, and we were funded to the state for a considerable amount. And so we've continued to reach out to other entities and benefactors who are interested in helping us complete this. And so I'm pleased to announce tonight that the Hoover Foundation has considered our proposed enhancement to Dogwood Park. and they are interested in supporting the Dogwood Park expansion. Specifically, they have agreed to give $250,000 towards the new children's playground, which would pretty much be 100% funding for the new children's playground.
Awesome.
So it's a big deal. So we thank Mr. Larry Hoover for his leadership in that regard. And that concludes my report. Yeah, so with Akron Children's doing 250 and the Hoover Foundation doing 250, but all that's at Dogwood is 500,000 plus the city's contribution and what we have for the state. We're in a position to move forward in 2019 with both the Bitzer project. We put together a task force that's working on that. We'll bring more of that to you later. And then we're going to start with another design group on the Dogwood facilities. We think we could begin moving ground on that in 2019.
Excellent.
Outstanding.
Great.
Mr. Mayor, can you beat $500,000?
Yes. No, can't be that. So we have, when you look at everything that we have going on in the city right now, at least since I've been here, and this goes back starting as the administrator, there is no doubt we are the most cost efficient and effective in our service than we've ever been. And I think, well, I know that it's because we've got people in the right positions with experience, and they have that commitment to being the best, to providing the best service to the community. Because I think one of the challenges we have in North Canton is that we are a great community, and the people demand to have the best possible service. The challenge is complacency, because, when you're doing well, we're okay. But really what I've seen with Tim Fox in our law department, and Laura in the finance department, and Patrick is the administrator, and Rob is our engineer, and Kathy now also in the administration, every single one of them, and that includes the other department heads, they absolutely want to do the very best that they possibly can. Our police chief, we have the best training right now with our police department and our fire and EMS than we've ever had. And it's reflected in the training that they provide and in the results that we're getting too. And so with that, last night I was looking at, I get these, through the Google setup on my phone, if you, ask for certain things as far as municipalities, certain news surrounding that, they'll give you whatever articles come across the country. And so I frequently get these news articles on police shootings, where the police are being shot at. And so I was watching a video clip last night where these state troopers had pulled somebody over, and I'm watching it thinking, okay, no problem. And then out of nowhere, the person that they tried to arrest, this is after the person was tased, after they tried to subdue him, 2 police officers, he pulled out and shot the one police officer and then got in his car and got away. And so when you watch it, you can't help but constantly think that, particularly in our police department, that it is without a doubt the most dangerous job in the United States right now, because it's very unpredictable. They're under absolute total scrutiny. They've got cameras on their car, cameras on their chest. Every word that they say is constantly recorded, which is a good thing because it helps to protect our officers too. But the whole thing is, and we've talked about this with our fire chief and our police chief, that our enemy is complacency. And so we want to constantly strive to provide the best training, the best support to our fire and EMS department and to all of our departments. And so with that, we have our upcoming safety levy. And this is an opportunity for the people in North Canton to give the tools and the resources to the police, fire, and EMS so that they can train in the gun range, so that they can meet all the compliance requirements for the police, for the fire, the EMS. We have a safe community, but we have to look at where we need to be, not just next year or 2 years from now. We have to look at where we need to be 20 years from now. And that's what this levy is going to do. And Patrick put together this committee to review the various architects and how we have it set up. And I have to say, it's, just as everything that your team is doing is right on top of it. I mean, they don't, the attention to detail is excellent. But again, I'm just very proud of the work that's being done, and you can see it because the residents, and also council support too, because as the pastor was saying about the pride, there really isn't any. I mean, everybody that's working here, we all have disagreements, but everybody's focused on the same goal, which is how we can best serve the people. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you,
Grant.
Mr. President. First of all, Price Park Path. We got the North Loop. We got that in last week. And we got it in despite, basically, it's a quagmire out there with all the rain we've had. We got it in, not real happy with it in spots. We got some areas we just simply have to fix in the spring, but we had to get it back in service once our contractor took it out. But just to let everyone know that, yeah, we will address some of the puddling and stuff that's going on out there. And then also, next year, we're gonna put the green ceiling on it.
The green what?
The green ceiling. The asphalt has to cure for about 60 days. Of course, that will put us in early to mid-December, so we can't do it then. So some of the patching and things that we're gonna have to do, that'll be all hidden by the ceiling. So we got it in, but we've done better work. I guess mentioned what you had said, Mayor, on your report. West Maple Street is progressing. I'm really happy with the progress on the curb and gutter and the sidewalks. I think you're starting to really see it take shape and where the bricks are gonna go. But I talked to the contractor today. It was a beautiful day. Nobody was there with West Maple Street closed. We're affecting Huntington, we're affecting Pinecone, we're affecting Main Street Grill. And I let the CEO of the company know that they've got to get in, at least get it repaved, that slot will be widened. We can do all that nice sidewalk stuff from that third lane. So they might have fell on deaf ears, but that needs to get done. We're affecting too many people with that. So I'll let you know, stay on top of that. Other than that, I'm quite happy with everything. May have noticed that last week went up out at East Maple Street and the new Walsh Westgate, it's a year or so old, a new traffic signal. It's up on flash. We've got to get some signage up and have it on flash for about a month just to let the residents know it's coming. Walsh University is thrilled to have that, to get their students and faculty in and out. I hope to have that up and running fully in first week of November. And the beauty of that is our municipal road funding from 2017 and this year, 2018, paid every penny of it.
That's even better.
So,
May I ask a question about that?
Yeah.
How is it being tripped? Is there a time, like it can't be tripped every 10 seconds? I mean, what's
it has, we'll have it, they're up now. Of course, it's just flashing yellow, east,
Right.
west, and red. But it has video detection capabilities, so it won't go off. In fact, we talked about that today. It won't trip. It's going to be constantly green east and west on Maple. We want that Main Street traffic flow, or Maple Street traffic flowing. It will only trip when there's a call or a video camera sees a car coming out of the lot. And even then, we want to build in some delay time. So if
Yes.
someone's coming out to turn right on red,
Right.
we don't want to trip them for no reason. Same with the left turn lanes to turn left off Maple Street into either the north lot or the south lot. We want that car to be able to shoot a gap. So we're working on that timing now, but that's key. I mean, our main goal is to keep east and west flowing.
Right,
Yeah.
so are you you're gonna not allow it to, every 40 seconds, one car goes through, trips
Right.
it, and
No,
then all of a sudden another one comes
it's-
up, trips it
I mean,
again?
if someone's waiting to turn left, it's gonna get a call. Now, we could look, we don't wanna make someone wait 20 minutes till the next car comes behind
No,
them
but
to
at
get
least
out.
like maybe 2 or 3.
Right, yeah,
I mean,
exactly,
like,
yeah.
You could have, believe me,
No, that's part of it, and I talked to Walsh today about it, and we'll get with them. There's things with the computer we can do for their AM and PM peaks. And they don't really have it like a business would.
They don't,
People
that's my
come-
word.
It's just so constant.
it's constant, but that would be very frustrating.
Yeah, so it's gonna take us a little time to get it dialed in.
Okay.
So we absolutely, literally, this afternoon had that discussion.
Awesome.
Rob, just a question, I don't want you to put you on the spot with that. Even though grants, how much was that? How much did those intersections end up costing?
The portion that you see now, the poles, the underground was done a number of years ago, so I can't speak if grants to pay for that. But the poles, the cabinet, the computers, the signal heads, and all the electronics, we've got about 130
Okay.
in there. We had a
And we're not done, right?
$5,000 and $70,000 grant.
We're not done, there's some work that's gonna go on sidewalks all the way up and down, is that coming up?
Right, we've got federal monies in 2021 to do the streetscape sidewalk. We've got a
Okay.
proposal from our consultant.
And Walsh is aware of all this cost that we're putting out there, correct?
I hope so.
Okay.
Yeah, it should be.
'Cause there are times we hear that we
You gotta
don't do
make sure
anything out
that
there, and I
let
think
them
this is
know.
a good time to remind some people what we've done out there for them.
Hey, Rob, have you, any word on when they're putting the top coat on State Route 43?
No, I think that's one of the reasons we're not seeing them paving our road,
Yeah.
is the same contractor has Whipple Avenue for the county.
Okay.
We're under the gun for that. They have the I-77 off-ramps at the Hall of Fame, and they have Market Avenue for us. And we've got a little bit here, so,
They were doing Whipple today?
yeah, so.
Because
they-
it's nice now, but
They got a lot of
this
work.
can turn pretty
and
quickly.
That's part of my discussion with the residents today. I know you're busy, but mine only takes 6 hours, so get in and knock it out. So.
Because they're ready. We're ready for the top coat, right? Everything else is done. It
Yeah,
looked
what
like.
I've heard of with ODOT's is they have a ODOT storm sewer spec 611. They've got a video and check and do deflection testing on all the underground storm sewer pipes.
Okay.
And my source is telling me they're having trouble getting some of that storm sewer to pass, so they won't let them put the top on it until they know the storm sewer underneath is good, so they don't have patches. Now that's secondhand, but it does make sense.
I've also heard secondhand that there are some structural issues out there. Coming back to the light, was there a traffic study
I'm glad you mentioned that. 'Cause I
that
feel
was
like
associated with that, and was there a cost attached to that as well?
There was a signal warrant study that we had done this year. I had it done by a consultant, and I didn't actually apply that to the grant. It was $900,
Okay.
$850, and it is indeed warranted.
Just one thing too, Rob, we had a lot of people call from College Estates. Kind of, I think it was right at the beginning of, I don't know, Tim, I think I told you maybe baseball season and the crossing, and people had almost gotten hit. I mean, there were just a lot of close calls because there's so many kids in that neighborhood. And you and Pat were just so responsive, and I think somebody else, I can't remember who else went out with you, maybe it was Brian Hill.
John Hopkins Smith.
Okay.
Worked on that.
But, I mean, the way you just were like, yes, we need this, very much appreciated. They've all like emailed and just said their appreciation, and I'm just thrilled and are using it, so thank you.
Thank you.
It was like, we were like, remember I would call you and you're like, yes, they're going up today, like we were like on the same wavelength, so thank you.
You're welcome. And then lastly, we start tonight with our annual restriping program. We've got the contractor that comes in and does the long line, double yellow, and lane lines, and also paints those crosswalks and stop bars and things. So if you see flashing lights at 2 a.m. outside your window, that's what that's about. So it'll probably take me a better part of the week to get that all done. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Deputy Director Frida.
I'll share my. Thank you. My report's regarding the proposed North Canton Public Services Safety Center. As some of you may know or not know, we received 15 responses to the RFQ, the request for qualifications. And each one of those response packets from the architectural engineering firms, there was an electronic version of the submission of their work. So from that, I've extracted some samples of their work and created a visual presentation that we'll have available for everyone to view at the October 22nd City Council meeting. So we're gonna put it on a screen, maybe out in the lobby area or somewhere in here, and just sort of have it on a loop. It'll just have the names and addresses of the architectural firms and give everybody an opportunity just to have a glimpse at what they have done, some pictures and some renderings. So,
Great.
all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Madam Clerk?
No report.
Okay, the rest of October meeting schedule, there will not be a meeting next Monday, the 15th. We'll have a public meeting at 6:30 on the 22nd, followed by a regular council meeting at 7 p.m. on the 22nd, with the committee meeting, if needed, directly after that. And then as our finance director mentioned, we'll have a regular council meeting on the 22nd, followed by the budgetary meeting the last Monday of the month.
29th is the budget.
29th, correct.
22nd is a double meeting in case, if we need it.
If needed, yes.
And that starts at what time, Mr. President?
6:30, when?
The 22nd.
22nd, we have the public meeting at, or the public hearing at 6:30.
What's the
No,
public
that's the
hearing?
sign ordinance,
Sign.
the two
Yes, sign.
changes.
Sign?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
That starts at 6:30. Regular council meeting will be at 7, followed by committee meeting directly after if needed.
I would remind the president of council and those involved that there's a CIC meeting scheduled for at 6 p.m. for October 22nd,
Oh, I did not know that.
which will be concluded by the time your public hearing starts.
Okay, very good.
So we're going to not meet on the 15th?
Correct.
Okay, so we'll need a roll call.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we will need a roll call. Roll call vote to not meet on October 15th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed? The ayes carried by a unanimous voice vote of 6
All right.
to forego the October 15th, 2018 Committee of the Whole meeting.
And moving that, if needed, to the 22nd. Okay. All right, that concludes the agenda.
Motion adjourned.
Second.